off on the right track today. Or maybe it'll just help you recalibrate. Take your mind off all the stress that's going on around you. Come on, you ready? Let's go.
Living out loud, living out loud. Loving out loud, loving out loud. Laughing out loud, laughing out loud. I want the world to know that I'm blessed. Hey, oh, hey, yeah, hey.
It would be a line of musicians waiting to get on that B3.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah.
You know, and if Tim pointed at you to get on the B3, listen, that was like somebody just saying, listen, man, you are the next appointed one.
Yes.
And come on, because the organ was on the corner, you know, right up underneath the little balcony right there. Your head could you're ducking down to play, you know. And Tim played with 4 fingers.
Yes.
That's it. He didn't play with his pinky.
Yes.
That's all he played with, those 4.
Yes.
And killed it.
Yes.
And one day I went to the convocation. He said, come on. And I got on it. And he talked to my dad and told him, said, let your boy come with me. And I played at Washington Temple for 1 year.
Wow.
I used to take the Long Island Railroad. I was 16. I had to get my dad's permission. But it was those Sunday morning services that I began to understand that Tim was working his craft during the Sunday mornings.
Mm.
Most of us were in our churches then, of course.
Right.
And then, of course, when they would come at night and everybody would come over, go to Washington Temple's broadcast, then they would go over to institutional. But it was all during that first service with him and F.D. Washington just going back and forth.
Wow.
Man, I think I was making $50 a week just to go there and sit up under Tim.
It was I know that my experience with Tim was I had started taking organ lessons from Tim.
Wow.
Yeah, so from way back.
You letting the cat out the bag tonight, dude.
Huh?
You letting the cat out the bag tonight, man.
Yeah, I would take an organ lesson from Tim. And Tim had a reputation of tearing up people's organs.
Oh man.
You know, so he would go to churches, and I know that he would go to churches and people would say, yo man, don't you tear my organ. Because Tim had this thing that he would play the bass, just take his hands off the keyboard and just start playing the bass. And then he would turn around and he would rub his butt across the keys and stuff like that. So he was a showman.
Right,
you know, so
right.
He was more known as the organ player. Then he got into the writing. And then that kind of like started branching off. And then he started bringing other musicians to play as he started more and more writing. So he wouldn't play as much. Right?
Okay.
But
okay.
his whole thing was he was a master keyboard player. Because there was several guys that I could speak about. Alfred Wright coming up with institutional. He was another bad dude. So there was a bunch of them that were coming up. But Tim was known, matter of fact, and then he went to work for Hammond Organ.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, he was working for Hammond. So he would test out their organ. They hired him because of how he played. So he understood the whole thing. So, but his writing just started taking off, and he became this great writer, great storyteller, and stuff like that. And so that was my whole experience with Tim, because I was like taking lessons from him.
That's awesome. That's incredible. I love those stories. So Tim made a comeback. We'll see how he does this week when I show you the new matchups. We talked about this last week. I don't care what nobody's saying. Fred Hammond, I mean, that's my dude. Like I said last week, I can't necessarily see myself voting against Fred Hammond. I know he's going to come up against somebody that's going to give me a problem. But I love him as a songwriter. The way he again crafts songs, heartfelt, and the power of his voice, the tone of his voice, the way he does his thing. And it's not just slow worship songs. It's up-tempo praise songs. It's party songs. It's love songs. He has a huge a list of hits and songs that we can go back and forth on. But I figured he was going to beat Hez, and that is not to take anything away from Hez. Hez definitely has some hits, and he has some history. But I pretty much knew Fred was going to take Hez. And we talked about last week, Yolanda Adams. We didn't even know if she should be in the list because we didn't know how much writing she did.
Yeah.
So these were pretty much what we knew were going to happen.
But let me ask you a question, Thurston.
Sure.
Because this thing between Fred and Hez.
Uh-huh.
Now, when you're talking about songwriters, is Hez really considered a songwriter? Because of the simple reason, I know that a lot of his hits are written by
other people.
And Randy takes no prisoners, huh?
He's not going to give nobody a pass, dude.
Wow.
So
I
I'm
like
just
you.
saying,
I like
you know,
you.
so you have him that's a songwriter, and this show is supposed to be, about the Songwriter Super Bowl.
You're right. You're right.
Is he a songwriter? Because I know a lot of his hits are by different musicians.
People. Right.
That wrote. So, I know him more as a director, singer.
He's a choir master.
Huh?
He's like a Ricky Dillard. He's a choir master.
Right. Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Big difference.
Exactly.
Because, and we could talk, but we're not going to talk about the stories. But there's a lot of cats, man. That we ain't going there. There's a lot of cats, thank God he signed on guys. Vincent, what's his name? Vincent Buchanan. He's coming up.
Okay.
But like he said, Hez is not. He's not a songwriter.
I got you.
He can represent a song, and most of his stuff he took from DJ Rogers.
Ooh, okay. I got you. Yeah.
Some of his stuff, I was doomed for a while, but that is DJ, straight up DJ Rogers. All right now is DJ.
Wait, so that last one was, all right now, think I'm
oh my God.
That's DJ.
That's DJ all the way, dude.
Come on, Jeff.
He took all of that style from DJ Rogers.
Wow.
And DJ Rogers admitted it. He said it. That's how it was confirmed to me. But most of that stuff, straight out DJ. Straight out of California.
Can I just say something about, Jeff said something real critical about the choir master part.
Right.
And what makes Jeff's statement so profound is I want to go back a minute to Benny Cummings, because Benny was a master choir master. But here's the thing: Benny could write, Benny could sing, and Benny could play.
Right.
And when I think about a choir master, I go back to what the scriptures talks about when David had brought the Ark of the Covenant back the second time, and he appointed Kenaniah to be over the music because he was skillful. He appointed him over the song. And when I think about a choir master, that's what I think about, an individual who has the ability to speak to all the aspects of the music, okay? Not someone who can just maybe, throw their hands up and direct and have a little charisma, but somebody who's able to teach the parts, who's able to hear vocal arrangements, who's able to understand, okay, when a person thinks they're a soprano, no, you're not a soprano, you're an alto, because they understand voicing and texturizing and vocal strength. So when we want to talk about choir master, and I think Benny is a very, very good example. Another choir master is Walter Hawkins. Phenomenal choir master.
Okay.
Great, phenomenal writer, great musician. I mean, Walter could play, okay? Great arranger, vocalist in and of himself. And so now we raise the bar. Okay, let's go back to Thomas Whitfield, another great choir master. And a lot of people don't know that. So I think we begin to get into the deep aspects of beginning to be able to find roles and abilities and giftings and talents and et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is just so endless, man, when you think about the rich deposit in gospel music, man. Phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, now this is a lesson really for all of us, because everybody on this Zoom is one song away from being world renowned. Everybody here, you're one song away. Now, I remember when David Bratton wrote that Every Praise.
Uh-huh.
And when a white guy sang it, and they did it as a duet on Hale, Xavier Hale, I think they're out there in the East End, Cornerstone. And I first heard that song, was done with their praise and worship team. That song was so phenomenal, but it changed a lot. But by the time Hez got it,
forget it.
It was a wrap. But it became popular off of an independent CD.
Uh-huh.
You know, the point I'm making, we make music. We're doing things, and it might not seem like, we're getting anywhere, but all it takes is that one.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
It takes that one, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
It's powerful.
And you and I, we sitting up in here, we're talking, and you will be the next Kim Burrell. Kim might be the next Kim Burrell. I mean, it's just like, it's the way it is. You never know.
Okay, so that takes me to another thing, and I hope a bunch of people are watching, a bunch of independent. So we touched on so many different things. Independent artists. I don't think any of us are signed to any major labels, right? So we do what we do because we love it. And Kim, we've had this conversation. I talk with you and Kelvin all the time, and I tell Kelvin, so for you that know Kim's brother Kelvin is a phenomenal writer, phenomenal writer. I think sometimes that we get caught up on wanting things to be so perfect that we hold on to it and we don't put it out. We don't let people hear it, right? And I've had this conversation with Kelvin, so I'm not saying anything that I haven't said to him. I love his music. I love his approach to music. I love lyrically where he goes with it. But because we are independent artists, we do what we do because we love it. We don't have a big paycheck waiting at the other end of completing this song. We just do it, we put it out, we go back to the studio, we do it, we put it out, we do it, we put it out. We have to continue to write, continue to do what God has blessed us to do. And that's for us on this call, but everyone else that's listening, you have to continue to write and continue to do what God has called you to do. Because just like Jeff said, so I have a large library of songs sitting around. None of them have been major hits, but one of those songs could be a major hit long after I'm gone.
That's right.
They could be hits that my grandchildren can live off of. So that's why you continue to create, continue to collaborate, continue to do what God has called us to do as songwriters, as producers, as musicians. We have to continue to do it. I'm so glad that you said that, Jeff. So glad. And there are a bunch of people. So I specifically said Kelvin, but there's a bunch of people that do this that just have to continue to do it and put it out. It's important that we do it. It's important that we do it. So, and Kim, I know we talked about a song that you guys did recently together, and you guys put it out, and I was so happy for you guys. That's the other thing, going back to supporting one another.
Right. Actually, we didn't put it out yet.
Right, exactly. Right. You haven't even put it all the way out, right?
Just trying to be, and like you said, perfecting, wanting to add vocals.
But listen, what I heard was already incredible, Kim. What I heard was incredible already. But I know the feeling.
God bless you. Thank you.
I know the feeling, believe me. Even something like doing this show. So I was approached a long time ago about doing the show, and I'm like, I'm nervous. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be out in the public. First, reality is I don't necessarily like harsh criticism, so that will stop you from doing things, right? But God spoke to me last year, and his word to me was, just do it. Just like the Nike commercial, just do what I called you to do and let me worry about everything else. So listen, doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. You're going to slip up, you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to look like an idiot, but the bottom line is just go out and do what God has called you to do, and he will handle everything else. Jeff, thank you for that. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you guys go, but I want to show you one last thing, okay? And you guys feel free to chime in anytime about anything that you want to talk about, please. All right, so round of 32, we just saw the results. That's over. We're in the round of 16. So let me pause right here. Everybody that is watching right now, everyone that comes in later to watch it, watch the video. You can see the video on YouTube. I'm gonna chop it up, make it digestible, and you can go there. But in order to vote, if you want to vote on the next round, go to my Facebook page. That's Thurston Daniel O'Neal. That's Thurston Daniel O'Neal Music. That's LOL Radio TV. And you'll see the link for you to vote on the Gospel Songwriter Super Bowl. And also, if you want to be a part of our next broadcast, you want to come on and state your opinion on what's going on, please feel free to let me know. Shoot me an email at lolradiotv@gmail.com or admin@thurstononeal.com. Okay, quickly, guys. Bracket number one. Where are we? Bracket number one. This is where we are. You got Kurt Franklin against Edwin Hawkins. Wow. You got Donald Lawrence against Donnie McClurkin. Wow. All right. That's where you have to choose from. That's bracket number one. Bracket number two, you got Andre Crouch against Shirley Caesar, Marvin Winans against Thomas Whitfield. Y'all see where this is heading, right?
Oh yeah.
Y'all see where
heading for trouble, bro.
Yeah, man. That's a hard bracket. Next one, bracket number three. So I think this one is gonna be a little surprising. Israel Horton and Twinkie Clark. I know people love Israel, but people have started voting already, and it's not a wash just yet about Israel over Twinkie. People love Twinkie. I love Twinkie.
Especially when that movie came out.
Exactly. So that's going to be something to watch. Then you got William Murphy against Walter Hawkins. And then our final bracket is, this is the problem. Wow. John P. Key against Fred Hammond. And then Timothy Wright against Richard Smallwood. So it's starting to get really, really, really interesting, guys. You guys have anything you want to say about these? And if you want me to go back to one, you just let me know. But I want to take this off of that in full degree. Now, what do y'all think about those matchups? Anything
I think you're gonna be challenged in your and you're saying you can't see yourself voting against Fred. You might be challenged next week.
I know, dude.
What I have to constantly remind myself is that we're looking at them as songwriters.
Yes.
Not as, ministers of music and them coming on stage and just wrecking the stage. We're talking about
exactly.
Yes.
So this is the thing, Kim. I don't know if you saw last week's show, but the guys definitely blasted me about that. I probably should have taken the time to reach out to some of you guys and say, okay, look at this list. Who am I missing? Who should be on? Who shouldn't be on? But listen, I just put it together and put it out. So that's where we're going to run into problems, because you're right.
And Thurston, thank God for that.
You
just said it just a few minutes ago. Like God put it in your heart to do, and despite the mistakes, you're learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You created a platform for us to come on and just go and
do it.
I love for music. So
exactly. But you're right, Kim. Keeping in mind that it's the Songwriters Super Bowl, not the artist, because so this is my thing with Fred though. Fred does it all. He writes incredible songs. He ministers. He could come in and wreck the house and have you shouting and jumping all over the place, and then he can have you crying, weeping into your hands.
Right.
He does it all, man. He does it all.
Who was he going against again?
Hold on, let me go back.
It was John P. Key.
John P. Key.
Oh yeah, Fred Hammond against John P. Key.
Yeah. Fred is interesting because Fred went through an incredible evolution and metamorphosis. When you think about when he was playing for the Winans. And then when he started out with commission as one of the anchors, and you know, him and Mike Brooks and Park Stewart and Mitchell Jones were basically the writers. And then when Fred branched off and became, he started moving towards a solo artist. And remember, he had Radical for Christ.
Yep.
And then he started.
That was my introduction.
There you go. And that's when he started moving into praise and worship. But the thing about Fred is so versatile that a lot of people can't appreciate him, because one of his greatest projects, in my opinion, was God, Love, and Romance.
Yes.
And that album, man, I always liked him, but that album gave me a different appreciation for him, because, you know, he brought some drama into it. He brought some storytelling. And if you know some things about Fred personally, you could see and feel the pain of some things that was going on in his life with God, Love, and Romance.
Right.
And man, I'm gonna tell you something. That album was so powerful. My wife and I went on a cruise, and I brought that album with me in Jesus' name. Listen, no shame in the game. I'm gonna just be chill. And I surprised my wife, because my wife likes to dance. You know, I'm a church boy. The only dance we did was, you know, holy dance. But my wife liked it. So I brought that thing with me, and I turned it on. I said, "Come on, baby, we're gonna dance." And my wife was shocked. And I really appreciate it, because it allowed me to connect with my wife in a way that was real and not churchy. But then Fred has this thing, man, and for me, Fred teaches us a different way to love God. Okay? And just his whole approach, man. And so that's gonna be a tough one, bro.
It's gonna be tough.
I think it's gonna come down to popularity. It ain't gonna even be about the songwriting. I think it's gonna be more about the popularity, who people know.
I got you.
Like, yep. More so than, because everybody doesn't know a lot of John P. Key. You know, people that's in the church. But Fred don't reach certain barriers. Absolutely. You know, like you got guys like people might not know. Boys to Men, Wanye? He said they credited their sound and style from commission.
Wow.
All that vocal arrangement and harmonies, they got that from commission. They credited that to commission.
Wow.
So Fred and them, that they took it to a whole nother level, whereas John P. Key is more known in the church.
Yeah, he's just
so you're talking about, I think, the popularity of it, you know, rather than just about the songwriting. You know, we listening to John P. Key. He can sing, he can write. I mean, he got a bad choir.
Absolutely.
I mean, his band was always tight and stuff like that. But when you talk about it, I think Fred will. I think he'll take it. Of the popularity that people know of Fred Hammond more so than John P. Key.
Yeah, Vaughn and Reg, y'all were about to say something.
Yeah, real quick, like Fred, I believe that album that you just talked about, the Romance album, was so underappreciated.
Yes, sir.
It was underappreciated because, but he exposed something also. He exposed the churches, you know, the super spiritual side of the church, their ignorance of our need for us to be totally ministered to, right? Like he tackled the issue of marriage, relationships, dating, courting. He tackled it all in his album, and it was beautiful.
Yes,
it was
divorce, separation.
And it kind of exposed that, right? And the other thing I want to say, I want to go back to Jonathan McReynolds for a second. The reason why Jonathan McReynolds is so incredible is because he's a theologian as well. He's a theologian, and I would say that Fred is also. Fred is so immersed in the word and also so immersed in life and so immersed in experiences that he brings it all. He's able to touch so many different genres, even to this generation. He's been one of the things that, you know, we've seen certain groups or artists kind of fade out. Fred's never really faded out.
No, he hasn't. He's
transitioned well through the generations. and even pouring himself in. I mean, people are, I mean, you know, like even the secular world admonishes him. You know, like I've seen him on platforms where he would sing Stevie Wonder songs. Because you can tell in his music he's influenced by Stevie Wonder.
Absolutely.
I mean, who isn't? But anyway, I just wanted to share that. Like Fred Hammond is, I mean, you can tell who I'm choosing already because his catalog is incredible. He's incredibly deep, incredibly wide, and incredibly intuitive in terms of the generation he came from, like you spoke about, Darren, and where he still is now and where he's able to still contribute to this generation.
Can I say
so hold on 1 second, Darren. Vaughn, you chime in because you were waiting, and then Darren, I'm coming back to you, and I want to share something about what you just said, Reg, also.
No, actually, as Darren was preaching his message on Fred and being able to use it in the romance with his wife, I just wanted to know if Jeff had that Hammond in front of him so he can get on it.
Start tuning up. Start tuning up, baby.
Yeah. You know, I want to go back to something because Jeff had mentioned how Marvin had the accolade that he gave Jonathan McReynolds. Yeah. And so we, you know, connect the dot to what Reggie said about Jonathan McReynolds being a theologian. The reason why I believe Marvin did what he did because I believe he saw himself in Jonathan McReynolds.
Yes, okay? I agree.
Marvin, incredible songwriter. When I think about, and when we talk about songs that speak to where you live, see, I tell the saints at Good News all the time, Jesus did not say I came that you might have church. He said I came that you might have life. Come on. Okay. And so when we talk about Marvin's songs would speak to life. One of his classics was Finders Keepers. Okay?
Yes.
A man embarks upon the career, then he sits inside a tear, and then it's all going away. But I found someone who I'll never lose the love he gives. It's just interesting. And that song, I connected with that song as a young adult. But now it means even more to me having 5 grandchildren.
Yes.
And my wife retired last year.
Wow.
You know, just the reality. So Marvin was this and a theologian. Marvin is an incredible theologian because you can find such depth of the Word of God and a relationship. So I think the reason why he is the way he is with Jonathan because he sees himself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make that point. And then Reg, something you said last session really resonated with me. I was so glad you talked about how it's because of the Winans that you found God. Because I saw an interview with Marvin, and this is what Marvin said. He said, we never intended to go after church people. He said, our intention was the world.
Wow.
He said, but the young people in the church got a hold of our music, and that's how we got into the church. He said, but our intention was the world all along. So that was heavy, brother. I really appreciate it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so going back to that, and that's the perfect segue. I know we have to end, but as songwriters, musicians, artists, us here, people listening, I think it's important. When you talk about Fred Hammond, you talk about Jonathan McReynolds, you talk about Fred Hammond's ability to stay relevant, right? I believe it's because he didn't just write gospel music. He wrote music that spoke to the whole man. Marvin Winans wrote music that spoke to our whole man.